And we're live.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another LessonPix Live. And
Happy Tuesday of 2022.
yeah, happy Tuesday of yet another tough
A
year
new
so far.
year.
Hopefully, a much better year, right? Oops, sorry, hon. So today we have a lot of fun. We have a interview that we have put off far too long with some of our favorite people.
Yeah,
And
I'm excited.
so we're going to
I
talk
like it.
to the co-creator of PixiePal, Chris McDonald, and we're going to have Brandi Wentland, SpeechPath, who's now their US distributor, and Beth Poss is going to join us, and we're going to talk. We're going to talk about what this device is, how awesome it is. This is the device right here. We're going to talk about. I don't know if you can see it.
There you go.
There you go. Actually, it makes our faces look better. We should just keep this up here the whole time. We still need a new camera, so we're working on that. But let's get started. Let's bring in everybody we had join us. So, hi guys, how are you?
Hello, hello.
Thanks for inviting us.
You're welcome. I'm so glad we can finally schedule this. We have tried for months now, since before ASHA, to talk about doing this, and I'm so glad we were able to do it before ATIA. Right? I mean, we're all going to be down in Orlando. Beth, you're coming down to Orlando, our neck of the woods. Chris, I'm sorry you're not going to be in Orlando next week.
I am. I'm coming over.
You are? You're coming over. I didn't know that. Is that a new change?
Well, no, I was going to Disneyland anyway, and that
No,
ATO, I thought I would just swing past for a few hours.
Good idea. That's a very good idea. Well, excellent. So we're all going to be in ATIA, and I'm so glad we can get this out there to our community and show people what you guys are up to and what you're doing, and get this kind of introduced and show people how well this works with what LessonPix does. It really does. It complements it very well as working as low tech backups or light tech backups for your high tech devices. This is a great little device, and I want to make sure people get to see it. Chris, I'm going to ask you to give a spiel on how we got here, and we'll chat about a bunch of stuff, right?
Did you see my shirt?
It says, life happens.
Visuals help.
Visuals help. There you go.
And the first thing I noticed, like we have another ad that says visuals anytime, anywhere. And when I went to PixiePal's homepage, says pretty much anytime, anywhere, and any age, right? I noticed that our companies are so much in sync.
Yeah,
so I'm excited
we
to share
line up
about this.
pretty darn well.
Yeah.
I like that all of our shirts are the same color too now.
Well, we're consistent. You're just copying. Beth, I don't know what's wrong with Beth. Beth has blue shirts. She just didn't wear them
see what
today.
her shirt says?
It says visuals what? And
because
they're worth it.
Visuals because they're worth it. And black is just very slimming. So
Yeah, like you need that. All right. So
Bill, they'd say copying is the highest form of flattery.
that's true. All right, fair enough. Well, you guys, I hope you guys copy a lot of things that we're doing right, and none of the things that we did wrong. So hopefully we can help you steer clear of some of them. But it's very exciting to see anything new in the AT world, right? It's something completely new, and I love it. I love what you've done. So let's get started. Let's start, Chris. Let's start with you. So you are the co-founder of PixiePal. And can you give us just a little bit of where did this thing come from? So first, I guess the first things first, we should probably show what we're talking about. Do you have one handy that you can hold up, or do you want me to?
Do I have one handy? I can definitely lay my hands on.
Look at this. Watch this. I can just totally. I can be Vanna. Right. All right. So this is what a PixiePal looks like. Right. It is a case that holds printed materials in a ridiculously sturdy case that's like bulletproof. I mean, it comes with a strap that is fantastic, and these pages pop out and hold whatever you want. So these are things that you print, whether they are things for in this case it's the garden club where kids are messy and gross, or core boards or whatever you're trying to put in here.
Brandi's showing
stuff too. So she's got the individual pages, right?
Yep. And these are called snaps. Each of the pages are called snaps because they snap together just like a Tupperware lid.
Yeah.
Very, very easily.
And then they snap into the frame, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And
so, I mean, the snaps are a really important thing, and they kind of evolved from If anyone knows special education, I know that speech therapists laminate visuals, visual supports a lot. But in the area of special education, I started to do the math of how many hours I spend in front of a laminating machine. And I stopped doing that. Now, you know, when you spend a lot of money on something, and you stop adding it up because you don't actually want to know what the end result is. And I didn't want to know how many hours I'd spend in front of a laminating machine. But the problem with laminating things is it's really important because, like your shirts are saying, like the visual supports, especially in a special needs setting, are critical, not just to communication. Well, I'm just supposed communication's underpinning everything and literacy is underpinning everything, but it's sometimes it can be the difference between having an individual dysregulate and get very, very upset with themselves and then start engaging in something like self-injurious behavior, or, you know, lashing out at someone. So a lot of the times the visuals are supporting harmony in a special needs setting. On the other end of it, you've got the delivery of curriculum, which is what LessonPix is, you know, based in. It's about promoting learning and supporting children with visual supports, because the visual supports are very effective. And the problem with laminating is that it takes a lot of time, and if you want to do it well, there's definitely an art form to it. And so I'm the co-creator of it, because what happened was I used to come home every single night with my laminated sheets in a folder like this thick, and I'd sit and I'd cut out, and there'd be plastic all over the floor, and there'd be like the little bits of the Velcro that you've taken off the back. They'd be everywhere, and they can't be vacuumed up. They're very hard to vacuum up, I found. And it was just this constant process, and I'm talking years of doing this. And I'm not sorry that I did it, because what happened was there was just a point where my wife was like, "This is insane. I can't do this anymore." And I kind of felt like I had been in enough settings. I'd worked for the Australian Quadriplegic Association as a personal carer. I'd worked for several different group homes that had children and adults with intellectual disabilities. And there was no visuals anywhere. So I was creating, even when I was at university, I was creating visual choice boards and, you know, emotion, the stuff that you were just showing that LessonPix has in that board, like stuff to do with emotions. Where are you at? How can I help? What are we doing next? Here's the shower routine. Here's the eating routine. Here's the menu. This is what we're doing today. It's time to get dressed. All those types of visual supports that get used across and they just lead to better outcomes, not only for the individual who's benefiting from those visual supports, but for the people who are working with them as well, whether it's a special needs teacher or a therapist or whoever. So I decided that there needed to be a better way than having thousands of laminated pieces of paper that are Velcroed to the wall, you know, and then you'd lose one. And quite often, you know, I don't know how this would happen, but it was usually the one that you needed. And you'd be like, where's the picture of the thing that I need right now? Like right now, not I need to go to the next room and find it. I need it now because this is the opportunity. By the time you get it, the opportunity is gone. And so I kind of thought there needs to be a way to organize it. There needs to be a way to not have to laminate stuff. And don't get me wrong, I don't, you know, there is a time and a place for laminating, but
right.
when it comes to certain daily activities, especially if you need to change something out or make something quickly, you don't have time to flick the laminator and wait for it to heat up and muck around with it. You just want to be able to go bang, bang, and there's your visual. And even if that's a hand-drawn thing, which is what we were talking about before we started, you know, like I've had many students who need to see things written and drawn in front of them in that moment. That's the learning opportunity. And if you don't capitalize on that, you lose that opportunity. And I'm not up for that, and I'm pretty sure no therapist or teacher or parent is either. You've got to grab those moments when they happen, and PixiePal allows that. And so the organization was one thing, the portability was one, and a big thing that I started to get very passionate about was quite often students would have communication systems, not so much core boards, but there were, you know, we were very early, you know, I'm talking kind of like 2003, 2004, we had, you know, children using laminated pieces of paper that were, you know, we'd put it in a binder, you know, those big binding machines, which I find very hard to not talk about, like pun on, don't get yourself into a bind when you're using it. But the binding would come off, and so you'd have a kid in the playground with this ridiculous like lanyard attached to a binding that wasn't meant. It's not meant to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can't handle the pressure of the weight of the visuals and the binding pulling on a lanyard that's around this kid's neck. The kid looks ridiculous because they're walking around with these 5 pieces of A4 laminate or letter pieces of paper. So we needed to bring in some style, not only in a housing, but something that could be carried comfortably, that looked like a bag, or what now is very typical to see someone carrying an iPad, but it needed to be brought into a more streamlined, not so much just child-friendly, but just human-friendly carrying device. It wasn't cutting it, having all these laminated pieces of paper. So, and I wanted, through doing that, I was guaranteeing that in the situation that I was in, that clients in group homes or students in schools always had their communication device. I recognized very early on, and this is pre iPad, high-tech AAC. Like for the mainstream, I know there were devices back in the day, but I saw this need for the child deserves to have access to it all the time. There can't be moments when they do have access and moments when they don't have access. That's not okay. And so I guess that was one of the main drivers for that. And I'm a teacher, so I wanted to be able to deliver lessons using visuals and not have to sit around for hours making them. So that's kind of where it was. That was kind of where it was born. But I've always come from an educational space. I've been teaching for almost 20 years, and that's my passion. And I hope I'm always teaching in some regard.
Well, I think you did a few things really well on this. Just from listen, I'm an engineer. I'm going to come at this very differently. But when you looked at a velo bind, the kind of thing you're talking about, I don't know what they're called in Australia, but here they're called velo binders, and it's also a distraction. It's fun to play with. You're going to pull them apart. This is so. Let me change my screen for a second here, and let's show these guys up close what this looks like. Let's see if we can do this. We're gonna get all fancy and change cameras and stuff. All right, so this is what we're talking about up close. You'll notice that everything's smooth. There is no sensory stuff to play with. There's no way I can think of to destroy. You can pop these out, right? If you try, you can pop out the individual snaps, but you're still not breaking it, right? The one that I have that has the strap on it, let me switch to it. I don't know where you got this strap. This is like the most military style strap I've ever seen.
Okay, so it's funny you say that. So that clasp or what do you call it from an engineering perspective? What is that? It's like a
attachment. It's just an attachment point. I mean, this is the plunger and it's called a detent is the little thing that's right there.
Yeah. It's for a machine gun. That's what.
Well, there you go.
No way.
There you go. I nailed it. Look at that.
Machine gun. Yeah.
But it is very durable. This is perhaps the best. I think all of the AAC devices should just standardize on this, right? They pop right off if you know what you're doing. You got to push down here and pull out at the same time to get them off like that. But once they're in there, this is perhaps the best, it's not going to fall off. There's no way that this thing is going to come off once it's in place. And it's just really well made.
It looks good too. Right.
And nobody's going to hate having this, right? In fact, we have a little girl who really hated carrying around her speech device because she wasn't effective with it yet. But she would have carried this around the garden club. She did.
And we have a little boy as well. And so I was looking for one. It is well loved. Because...
Yeah. So maybe we should explain that. I really wish there was a button to switch cameras back and forth. But the place that we are right now, so the facility that we're in, is LessonPix's headquarters, but it's also a working therapy center. And Lori runs, and with Teresa, our speech pathologist, runs a garden club every Saturday morning.
As well as other classes and summer camps.
Right. But the one that needs this the most is the outside.
They all need it, but
filthy.
Yes, Garden Club is great because it does go in the garden beds, the raised garden beds, and they lay in the dirt and they work with the hose and the watering cans, and we don't always pull weeds. We pull pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And
it all goes in and then it all comes out.
But you know what? These wipe right off.
Yeah.
It's not been an issue at all.
So these have done remarkably well as far as being sturdy.
So, yeah.
And accessible.
Yeah. So let's talk to Brandi for a second. Go ahead, Brandi.
In talking about the strap, Chris, one of the things I was most impressed with when I got my hands on it was the pad. I've worked with a lot of AC devices and seen a lot of different neck straps and a lot of different pads, and most of them are pretty uncomfortable. And this one was my favorite one I've ever put on my neck. And I got to talking with you about this, and I'd love for you to share like the history behind how.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just reaching for, based on that exactly. I'll grab it in a minute. So we've actually revamped the strap. We were happy with the strap as it was, but I'm a bit of a comfort freak, and so I wanted to make it a little bit thicker and a little bit wider, and just have a little bit more padding in it. So we're happy with that one. And then, but we are moving to an even sort of better one. So it's
it's cleanable, right? You can just take it off and throw it in the washer. Like,
yeah,
like there's a lot of thought here, right? Of things that people common sense thought that should be in all of our products here.
Yeah, definitely. And Bill, we've had just from you saying that you're an engineer, which I didn't actually know, and I'm very excited that you are, because a lot of my friends are engineers, so we like to kind of geek out a bit with that sort of stuff. And Han Huang, who was actually the engineer who drew it out and we did prototyping and stuff with, who was very passionate about getting it out. He was instrumental in the design of the cochlear implant and the plastic housing that went around that.
Wow.
And so he's this when he kind of gravitated towards this, and actually offered his services for free. He was that passionate about it. So the design has been meticulously put together, and the snaps that Brandi was holding up before, the way they snap together, that it took a very, very long time for us to get engaging in a process with injection molding with plastic. It's called overmolding, and to overmold something is very, very hard and very, very expensive. It added a tremendous amount of money. It almost broke my brain with how much money we had to spend to achieve that overmolding, or to make the tools to actually produce it. But I think it was well worth it, because we've ended up with a product that snap by itself is actually quite a handy thing to have in the room. I mean, they're very handy, obviously, when they're put into the unit. As 3 double-sided pages, but the snaps by themselves are very good to pop down, like you're talking about the gardening program. Do you know what I mean? Just to have sitting on a garden bed where it might have a sequence of what needs to be done, like planting the saplings or something like that. So they that clear piece of plastic.
Zoom in on Brandi so she can show.
Yep.
Yeah, and a lot of thought and engineering and money has gone into making that so easy to pull apart, to snap together, and it's very splash proof. It's not, you can't go scuba diving with it, but it can handle being run underwater and things like that. So
And somebody commented about Water Day, which we used a lot. We had with our summer camps every Friday here in Florida. And then I saw a picture recently of playing in the snow and building a snowman.
Yeah.
Using that.
I think Brandi posted it, didn't you? Didn't you post one this the other day, Brandi?
I think that was Chris. Yeah, he.
Was it Chris?
How did you get that photo, Chris, of the PixiePal in the snow?
I got it from the world of social media. I got permission to use it. Someone had posted it, and we just kind of reposted it. But there is a lot of examples of people using them in places, and I think the point of that is that it comes down to access, and it comes down to, you know, somebody's right to have access to their communication, and regardless of where they are. And the high-tech devices are so fantastic, but there are just some places where they can't go because of how expensive and fragile they are. And that's just a place where we like to sort of insert ourselves and say, well, you know, why not use this as a housing when you are out in the garden, or when you are in the pool, or when you are in the snow, or if there's paint and blood and saliva. And I mean, like, the amount of visuals that I've lost to students chewing them is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Quite often, I'm not going to lie, I have re-laminated chewed visuals. Doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work.
You kind of think it's going to work, but it doesn't work.
Just to kind of give it.
And there's that whole tooth mark thing there that, you know.
Yeah.
The leaking.
Talk about what Chris is talking about on the overmolding. I think you're talking about this matte part right here that's built into the injection molding. And the nice thing about it is that holds your paper still. So that if the paper goes into this white spot, it's going to hold itself still and not slide around inside the snap. So it is. I know I'm geeking out over all the geeky stuff, but
impressive.
it is very impressive how well it works.
Yeah, thank you. It took a lot of time and energy to get it to that.
To get it right. Then you just pop this together, and then they don't move. All right, so let's talk. We haven't said anything about Brandi. Brandi, come on here while I change my camera again. Now the thing that's new here over the last few months is you are now the official distributor for PixiePal in the US. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's awesome. I think that's a great idea. And you, just people don't know, Brandi's a speech pathologist, was in Arizona, has just recently moved near Chattanooga. Is that right?
Yes, about 30 minutes away from Chattanooga and Cleveland, Tennessee.
Chattanooga is a really cool town. That's one of my favorite places. So, tell me about why you did that. Why is this the thing that you hung your shingle out and said, I'm going to sell this?
Yeah. My answer always is Krista. Krista is a good friend of mine. She has cerebral palsy and she uses AAC to communicate. She's been a lifelong user of AAC, and we love to hang out in the pool, go through lazy lagoons together. We love going to the spa. And I cannot tell you how many times we would spend 4 or 5 hours together and have very limited ability to communicate because her high-tech device cannot be brought into those situations. And her high-tech device is heavy and expensive. And I wanted a way to be able to communicate with her. And we have made everything. We've laminated books. We've put core boards onto kickboards. We've put laminated things onto pool noodles. We've put them in cheese puff bottles. We've done everything. And everything just either broke down over time in the Arizona heat or broke down due to use and or it just wasn't robust enough for us to be able to communicate. So when I saw the product and when I talked with Chris, my immediate thought was Krista and how are we going to be able to use this together? So I started off as a consumer, as someone that cared about my friend and wanted to be able to talk with her. So when I got the product from Chris, Krista and I sat down together and talked about what pages she wanted in her device. And Krista, in addition to being a user of AAC, she's also a mentor to other users of AAC. And so she wanted her PixiePal to have various systems in it. She wanted Unity and LAMP and TouchChat and Proloquo. She wanted them all in there so that she could model AAC for other people as well, all in one device. So we talked about what pages would be from which system. And the most important to her was that she'd have a keyboard on the last page so that if there was anything that there wasn't an icon for, she'd be able to spell that out. And we used it the first time and I was sold. I couldn't believe how this fit a niche in the market and a need in the market that no one else has fit, that nobody else has taken the time to do. And when it fit her need, our need as communication partners, as friends, I just got to thinking about how many of my other clients, how many other people in the world would benefit from this, and asked Chris for more, brought him to out and about, gave him to every client that I could, and saw clients that were literally petting it because they were so happy to have this. in their possession. I have a client who is very avid participant of Special Olympics. He's in at least 6 different competitions, and his mom would never let him bring his device with him because she was afraid it would get stolen or lost. And so when I gave this to her, she was fully ready and willing, and it's for him to take this everywhere he goes. And he was the one that was petting the device and will often be seen just hugging his PixiePal because he finally has a way to be able to communicate everywhere he goes, not just some of the places he goes.
So let me just predict that I probably have a couple of people who are going to raise a question here. And let me just be really clear, Brandi, I'm going to put you back in the spotlight for a second. Brandi is all about robust AAC, high tech first, give them every option, lamp, or if it's eye gaze, then perhaps Toby or whatever it is. Brandi is not a person who's going to give a half-hearted AAC solution to anybody, right?
No. In fact, I've had people recommend that this be the only device. It be the standalone device that's recommended. And I've encouraged them to say, how about it's an and instead of an only? You know, I don't ever want to see someone limited to this unless it truly is the only solution. You know, I've actually had my eyes open to the other side of things because I am such a high-tech person and I do believe in robust AAC, but I had a friend explain to me that in Guatemala, if you walk down the street with something that's high-tech, you may be mugged. So high-tech actually isn't an option for the people there. And so she did show me situations where this might be a standalone device. But I would say that those are rare, and I'm always going to advocate for this to be an and solution, not an or standalone.
Yep, I want to get that in there because I can already hear a few people in our world saying, "Don't stick them with picture cards anymore." So thank you. I'm glad you went through that. Beth, we haven't talked to you at all. Do you have a PixiePal with you? Do you use one?
I do have a PixiePal with me, and I have to say, I love the strap, and I love the fact that I was able to get a pink one. Yeah, exactly. I was able to get a pink one at Astra because I'm a pink girl. No, I love it, and I think everything you're saying is exactly that. We're always looking at robust, and I want to say robust is not like high tech is not the equivalent of robust. There are robust systems that are completely low tech, right? When you're talking about pod systems, for example, right, that are completely low tech. But I agree completely also with the Alyssa Wern had said, it's not about either or, it's about both and, right? It's just one of those options, and it can make it so much more. You're not constantly recreating this. You have the flexibility of switching out what you need. I love the fact that there are extra snaps. Is that what they're called? Extra snaps that you can trade in and out, because sometimes it's not about having access to every single page all the time, but about having access to the pages that you need based on the situation that you are in. And I love the fact that you have that ability to do that. You know, again, it's that durability, it's having that access. I love the fact that you can use this as like a dry erase board with or without something, an overlay underneath it, and be able to have, you know, that flexibility there. So, no, I just think they're brilliantly designed and really do fit a place. I would see so many families and teachers creating and spending so much time like laminating and double laminating and then putting like stiff paper in between to laminate it, and then it would still like get destroyed or get wet or whatever, and to have this just as that option, I think makes a huge difference.
Very cool. All right, I do want to mention something we haven't shown yet, but Lori does use it, and so I think I'll go ahead and show it. So you can dry erase on these, right? And so
That's what Beth just
and
mentioned.
I just have one.
You had a blue one.
Well, give
One
me
of these two might work.
All right, this one should work. So yeah, so you can dry erase on them, right? There's a red. It's not the best dry eraser in the world, but right, and it comes off. It doesn't ruin the. You know, it's not acetate sensitive. It just comes off. I'm not sure if I have there you go, tissue. And they come right off, and you you use them again, right? These are, there's a great use for these for lots of different ways to adapt these and use them as visual schedules and things like that.
Choice boards.
Right.
There's
This
so many
one's,
uses.
so we haven't talked about LessonPix. So let's talk a little bit about stuff that we can put in here and how we do it with LessonPix. And then I hear there's a question from Chris about our logo. We'll touch on that last for people, anybody who cares about how we came up with our dude. It's a big problem to come up with the logo. So let me switch back to us and share my screen in a second. So a couple things first that we get when people are trying to use this. The first is, what size is this, right? So this is an A5 piece of paper, which makes a lot more sense knowing that Chris is from Australia, right? So A5 is their small pieces of paper. It is the same aspect ratio as an A4 piece of paper. It's also very close to the aspect ratio of an HD screen, right? So it's almost 16:9 aspect ratio. Most of the things that LessonPix makes aren't that. Most of them are letter.
Based in the US.
Based in the US, and that's life. But it's really easy to make our stuff fit. So I thought I'd show a couple of things while we're here for everybody on the side. So first, we do have some things that specifically we modified in order to be able to support PixiePal better. So let me. Do we still have a test user? All right, good enough. So this is a demo account. Let me zoom in so I can see it better. If you go into LessonPix and you've got some things in your tray and you say create materials, there are a few things we do that literally will make something will fit this perfectly. So if you go to a picture cards, when you create dynamic picture cards, one of the options is make it A5. So you can make this an A5 portrait or landscape, and it will fit perfectly. You can use the grid layout. You can drag things wherever you want them. You can color them. I'm sure people who've used LessonPix know how to use this. But when you generate this, it will be an A5 piece of paper. And A5 fits very easily on a letter page. Right? So it's very easy to print this on a letter page.
How do you do that?
So if it is actually an A5 piece of paper like this, you simply download it, open it up in Adobe Acrobat, and when you print it, like this, if you click actual size, it will be the right size when you print it.
And you put it on portrait, which is pretty much fits
so
left to right.
An A5, the width of an A5 page in landscape is 8.27 inches, which is just a little bit less than 8.5 inches. So if you print it this way, portrait, it will just work. If you choose auto, it'll center it on the page, which also is fine, but then you have to cut all 4 sizes. I am lazy and I have cutting challenges, as she will tell you. For years, I have had cutting challenges. This is the easy way. You cut straight across underneath the copyright, and it will fit perfectly inside of a PixiePal. Okay? So that's the easiest ones. We have that for our picture cards, our dynamic picture cards. We also have one for our communication boards, which are right here. Scroll down to communication device, the communication boards. And when you choose it again, you get to choose the page size, choose A5, and it will fit perfectly. I'm printing the core board. You can choose the fringe if you want to print the fringe across the top. You print them separately. That way you can flip them down. You wouldn't really use that here. What you'd really do is say, I don't want any fringe. I want
core only.
Seven rows of core, and I don't know. Let's make this a bigger picture. There you go. So 8 by 5.
The core button instead of fringe.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. See that? So now we will print this. And again, this is our layout. We can move things around. And when we print them, it will once again be sized for an A5 piece of paper. Okay, so I'll download it. I'll open it up in Acrobat. You can open it up in Chrome and print it. It just here, this will print better for me. Okay. So again, when I go to print it, it will ask me what size. I will choose actual size, and it will print just right. Okay.
Bill, can I just jump in? You know, when you're talking about having cutting challenges.
Yes.
if you are some individual who does experience cutting challenges, and I'm also conscious of having the time that it would take to pick a pair of scissors up and start cutting it out, and then you're left with a piece of paper that you have to do something with, you can just fold it where you want to cut it, and then maybe if there's a little bit poking out the top, fold that back down and put it in a snap. You don't even have to cut it.
Gotcha. That's a good idea. Yeah. So just don't, cut it bigger than you think, and you can fold it to the exact side that you need.
Or don't cut it at all. Just fold it in half.
Yeah. Just fold it in half. Yeah.
No cutting.
Oh, I see. Fold it in half.
Yeah.
I guess that's about
Piece of
right.
paper. That's what I did on one of mine. It's just faster when you're ripping them up. Yep.
So I am so cutting challenged, just for the record, that I made one of my favorite materials in LessonPix is right here. They're called magic index cards.
Just an FYI.
Yeah. So if you go down here to magic index cards, they print on either 4x6 or 5x8 index cards so that you don't have to cut them. And 5x8 would probably almost perfectly fit inside of a PixiePal. So if you want one picture, you can just use these. They would work perfectly.
There you go.
But let's say you want all the other materials that we generate, which don't come in A5, right?
What comes in A5?
So what comes in A5 are picture cards, dynamic picture cards, circle cards. Those come in A5, and communication boards.
And that's that. Yeah.
I think those are the ones. Those are the ones that have an A5 option. But all of these other things will print perfectly and fit into a PixiePal. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's go to the sharing center, and I don't know, Alyssa. So Alyssa says, the screenshots fit perfectly. So Beth, what do you want me to print here that would fit on it? We can do this thing from Tally Kellerstein.
What a schedule. You can sort on the side there. I don't know if you know this.
I know.
Yeah, a great one. Like I actually just added this to mine. It's a little hard to see layer, but the cutting to do the white dry erase thing. So this is the cutting links is the name of the template, and I just printed it on A5 from once I downloaded it.
Did you share it?
I will. I'll share it right now.
There are other ones and cutting links.
Cutting links.
Well done right there.
All right, cutting links. All right, so we'll just pick any of these.
Just pick any of the cutting links ones.
Which one do you
and
want?
Those
Lori?
are great again for that same activity.
Boy, there's a lot of them.
There are.
All
How
right.
about Groovy Joe?
Groovy
Joe.
Joe.
Dinosaurs and ice cream. I don't know it.
I don't know it either.
All right, but let's do it. So this is from Linda T. Was good enough to share it in the sharing center. Had no idea we would be talking about it tonight. But I'm just going to download the PDF file. Now, this PDF file is the wrong size, right? So I'm going to go ahead and open it in Acrobat just because it's easier for this printer. So here it is in Acrobat Reader, okay? And we want to print this so that people can trace this with the dry erase. When we go to print it, it's going to be wrong, right? So this is wrong. This is coming off the side of the page. This is what it's going to look like when it's wrong, but it's really easy. So you have two choices. You can either hit fit, and it will do the best it can. It'll be very close. Or go here to custom scale and type in 72. And when you hit 72, whoops.
You hit print.
I hit print. I printed a whole bunch of them.
I
Sorry.
Go grab it.
In just a second. So
I
when
actually go to page setup and select A5 as my page
don't
setup.
do that. So you can, but you don't
I'm
want
adding
to do that.
steps. Okay.
So yeah, so the thing that you might want to do, that's right. It's a natural thing to want to do is to go to properties and choose A5. Your printer will hate you for that, and it will keep telling you change the paper, change the paper, change the paper, and you don't have to do that. Okay, if you choose A5 and you then choose fit, right, and you choose landscape, it will almost perfectly fit. So that will work as well. But you have to remember to choose fit. And if you want it to be across the top of your page, like when this prints, it's going to print in the upper left corner, which is a little bit, you have to cut it twice that way. Yeah, like that, right? So like as you see, Beth, show that up again. I'll put you up here. So no, I'm sorry. Hold on. There you go. So it'll put it there. It is the right size, but that's hard to cut. And you really want it the other way.
Right.
You want to have it sideways so that it's easier to cut.
Okay, relative to the cutting that Chris and I and Beth and
You're
Brandi
all
are
fine with
used
it.
to
I know you're
doing,
all fine with it, but trust
would
me on
be
this.
thrilled
I am
with
making this
that.
easier. So, if you want to do it the easiest way possible, just scale it to 72% and it will print perfectly. Okay?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
there you go. Yes, sir. All right. Chris, do you have a better way to do this? Because you've done more of these than any of the rest of us.
Because I sort of, I mean, I did try and take into consideration the size differences in paper, but we did try your letter is a little bit, just by a few mils on each end, it's just a little bit looser. It like doesn't go to the edges. I've always just folded it over. That's kind of my default thing. I just print and fold and go. I think that the use of scissors, whether you don't want to waste the time or you do have cutting challenges, I think that it's easy just to fold and go. So that's been my go-to, and that kind of weirdly was one of the reasons I developed the entire thing. I just wanted to kind of cut down that preparation time, because what happens when you lose when you're losing lots of time to preparation time, it's taking time away from other things that are more enjoyable to do and also are going to benefit the kids.
More important, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, so I think this shows that you can use all the LessonPix stuff. We've shown how to print it. They do know what size it is now, which is good. I do think that's probably one thing you could add to your literature on there. Somewhere in big letters is this is A5, and maybe I missed it when I unpacked it. But that would be I just guessed and it was right, but I didn't see it in there. And I think, why don't we see? Are there any questions in Facebook or anything? I think Alyssa was saying.
Not so much questions, just great comments.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Susan
All right.
said she needs this for her granddaughter. So
Yeah. Juanita Pritchard likes it. Hi, Juanita. So Juanita is in Atlanta, so she's a buddy of ours. So I guess the other things that I wanted to make sure we answered. So Chris asked me before we started. He likes our dude. We have a little dude.
I do like that.
Right here. This guy. Here. There you go. With Beth there.
It's on Beth.
Yeah, here we'll go to this. There you can see. Well, now you can only see half of him. Whatever. We'll put him on there. He's on Beth. Here, we'll put Chris over here. You can see him better. There you go. So, Chris asked how we came up with our dude, that guy, and he said you liked it when things looked like they were kid drawn. And is there a story? There is a story. So when we were starting LessonPix, we really had a hard time with the logo. It turns out logos are really hard,
especially when you specialize in making symbols. To have a designated symbol just for your logo is particularly hard.
Yeah, and so there were hands with butterflies, and there were kids with backpacks, and
we had all kinds.
And we had to make a decision.
Animal, we had owl, octopus.
Right, and we had to make a decision because we were going to ASHA in Atlanta, and we had to get shirts made, and
all the materials.
We had to make a choice, and
began 2009 maybe.
Right, probably 2009. So the question was, what are we going to do? And so we were having this conversation, and let me see if I can show you guys this.
Share your screen there.
Yeah. We don't need to see me search. So here we go. So if you search in LessonPix for the word easel, we had this picture. And I said, look, all of our pictures are now scalable, which means
this is a very early picture.
This is number 229 out of 60,000. Okay. And since we have SVG files and they're totally scalable, what's kind of neat about that is you can scale in and they will never get grainy. So I literally took this easel picture and I zoomed in and said, how about we use this guy? We'll just, let's just take this and it's not really going to show this well. Let's just crop this guy and make him our logo. And he's been there ever since. And he's been great, right? He's ended up being a great logo. He's simple. He's easy to draw. He looks good in black or white.
Yep.
Right. It's all good. And that's how it happened. It happened because we didn't have enough time to spend any more time on discussing what our logo should look like.
And everybody knows him as the LessonPix guy or the LessonPix dude.
That's right. And he's been there for 11 years, and hopefully he'll be there a lot more.
Has there ever been any consideration to name him?
No. What do you think? I just like.
I'm not suggesting that you need to name him.
Did you have an idea?
No, I don't feel qualified enough to be. I think you're his parents. Is it a boy or a girl?
It is a boy. It is a boy because we have a girl. We have made a girl version. We had buddies that were.
So we ordered the pens back when they were popular, the little
with the hair
pens
tubes.
with the hair on them. I'm looking around. Beth has one.
Beth, there you go. There you go.
There we go. And he was named Lenny. And we did Where is Lenny back when we used to travel to all those conferences all over.
That don't happen anymore.
So if we were at Closing the Gap or, Texas, Tisha. Yep. We would have pictures taken with Lenny looking at the sites. And we had to add a girl because we are a woman-owned business.
We are a woman-owned small business. And not that small, but we are a woman-owned business. And when we promoted that, we actually made a girl version with curly hair and stuff.
And shirts and everything.
He's beyond a name. He's kind of like a knight. He's like a guardian or a protector. And he just
fair enough.
Picks guy. Do you know what I mean?
Nice.
I like it. So I'm excited that Brandi is bringing this here. Now it's been here in the United States, but now there is a dedicated contact point here in the States who will get this for districts and for anybody else who needs them. You'll be stocking them onshore?
Yeah, so we will have them at ATIA if anyone wants to buy them right then and there at the conference. We can also, if anyone wants to purchase them with a PO through a school district and needs a US company to purchase from, they can now do that through me. We will be having them. We do have them in stock here, and we'll continue to.
Excellent. Well, I think that's awesome.
What do they run? Am I allowed to ask?
Yeah, they're affordable. I mean, they're nice, but they're $100-ish bucks. Is that about right?
Yeah, we've tried to keep them under $100, and I think that there's a very compelling reason for that. We want to keep it affordable. Mm-hmm. It's an expensive product to make and to ship, and there's a lot of associated costs with a physical product. And it's not like shipping a very small item in the mail. It is once it's in the box and we're trying to protect it. So there are associated costs, but one of the big costs that we have, and it's a cost that we've welcomed in because it's how we want to do business, is that we work with not-for-profits and including UNICEF, which is a charity, and the NICA project, and different universities in the States, like San Francisco State. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to raise awareness of the fact that there is a need for AAC access in emerging economies around the world. And we're talking about a lot of people, many of whom are children and young people. And so we're trying to raise awareness for that. And we're not just trying to raise awareness, we're trying to actually do things about it. And so I think there's a big difference between those two things, and we have actioned and donated. We've actually donated more than we've sold, and we are about that. And it's something that I'm very passionate about and always will be very passionate about. I think that there's a lot of people in this world who don't have a voice, and I think just as we've had this call, I've been thinking a lot about LessonPix and the work Bill and Lori do. And I think that from an educational perspective, having worked in Samoa, doing some practicing, and paper is, it was brought to my attention. And I realized as I was delivering lessons that in Western Samoa, and I'm sure in most places that are emerging economies like Samoa, paper doesn't exist. We can all right now go and lay our hands on a pen and paper right now to do something, but that's a luxury in most places of the world. So if there was a situation where we could get LessonPix things translated and used in PixiePals, what you're having is you're having curriculum delivery protected in paper that can be reused, and that's going to be a turning point in a lot of classrooms. And so whether it's through use of AAC, protecting them in places like Brandi mentioned in Guatemala, where light tech is the only option. It's also the only option in classrooms through the delivery of materials. So yeah, I want to kind of hit that home as something that we do, and we're very proud of that we do. And as long as we are a company, we will always do it. And lastly, I'd like to mention that just talking about like paper and stuff like that, I'm not sure if everyone understands, but I do want to mention that the benefits of simple origami are twofold.
Simple origami?
The benefits of simple origami are twofold.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's it. Sorry.
Oh.
Down for really bad.
It's a little pun there.
Wow, what a way to finish. I'm leaving you up there. I'm leaving you up there to blush with that horrible joke. I'm not letting you out.
Yes.
But you got a laugh. Like there it is. A laugh.
You're welcome.
Hey, Lisa, I just want to talk to Lisa in the chat. She talks about using them for students that have different devices and going from classroom to classroom. And I just want to say that it's one of the things I really like is that I can swap out my lamp and my touch-tap, my Proloquo, so I can buy extra snaps. We actually have a box, our gray box here. This is a box of nothing but snaps. And so if you want to buy extra snaps and just have one housing unit to snap them into, you could swap out your Proloquo pages with your lamp pages, with your touch chat, or any of your visual supports from LessonPix. So I personally like having my PixiePal from my blue box that has the housing and the snaps, and then an additional box of snaps to swap out so that I'm not always having to even open the snaps because I'm that lazy. I just want to be able to put them in and out of the housing.
There you go. Lisa's sold, by the way. There you go. Fantastic.
Did you see what Alyssa wrote too?
Alyssa, can you buy one? Can you buy one and have it designated for donation in developing countries? Isn't she sweet?
100%. So that I would love anyone who wants to have that conversation. I will exchange emails with you any day, any night, because that's what we do. Yeah. So please reach out to us if you want to do that.
And Alyssa, especially, we would love to have your support with that. I have other countries we could connect you with if you wanted to do some consultation work, that kind of thing as well. We've got people all over the world that are looking for support, from speech therapists, occupational therapists, teachers, that kind of thing. So if, in addition to your monetary donations, anybody wants to just help support another country in some capacity with your skill set, we can connect you in that way as well.
So I do want to show Chris one thing that he might not know. And I don't mind showing off. So if you've never seen this, Chris, in LessonPix, one of the neat things you can do is you can go into any of our materials, and right here you can translate it to anything that Google supports, right? So if you wanted Samoan, I bet it's in here. What do they speak in Samoa? Samoan. There you go, Samoan. Yeah. And so you can literally translate it to Samoan, and it is automated. Right, so it's not perfect, but it is going to be better than I can do. That's for darn sure. I've also found that if you do full sentences, it comes out spot on correct. Individual words, sometimes orange is the color, not the fruit kind of thing. But if you give it a sentence, it does very well. So
yeah, well, can we throw down a challenge? Can we all work together when we meet up at ATIA? And can we work out how we can get some LessonPix translated into PixiePals into some special schools?
Sure.
And let's see it in action in a PixiePal. I think that would be a really, really cool way to collaborate and get them both out there.
So there's some interesting stuff at ATIA. We may as well talk about that before we finish. Brandi, yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys are right next to us in the hallway. Isn't that awesome?
I'm excited. Let's bring in the beach ball.
I did. I ordered them.
We're working on beach ball, right?
All right. So the hallway is where to be. It was very smart of you to be there. You get more hours in the day there, which is important when you're small and starting.
And if you happen to be in Orlando and not going to ATIA, you can just, come into the Crib Royale.
Well, you can come Saturday. You can always get into the exhibit hall for free at ATIA on Saturday.
That's true.
So you can definitely come see us either way.
And we're going to have raffles every day. So if you want to win a PixiePal, we'll have one raffle each day. So if you come on the day where you get in for free, you have an opportunity to enter the raffle that way as well.
Yeah. And we are also doing a cross promotion, Brandi. Yes.
Yes, we are.
So all of the ones that you sell at ATIA will also come with a LessonPix account.
The first 25 that we sell will come with LessonPix, and then all of the ones that are won in the raffle will also have a LessonPix subscription.
I think the ones in the raffle get a full year, and I think the first 25 get 3 months. But come on, it's $36. Once you've got 3 months, you'll be hooked, I promise.
Yes, I was hooked on LessonPix. I believe it was 4 years ago was my first time at ATIA, and I met Bill. I was in a class with Beth and Chris Bouguet, and that really was what started me on my journey of AAC. And so that was the first year I purchased a subscription to LessonPix, and I've been hooked ever since.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So, by the way, Chris, keeping things inexpensive is a brilliant marketing strategy. It really has worked for us, and everybody is always surprised that we haven't raised our price in 10 years, and certainly we will at some point with the way inflation's going. But
we walk the walk. We don't just talk the talk. Like when you talk about accessible, being affordable is accessible to families.
It's got to be part of it, right? Otherwise,
totally agree.
Otherwise, you're only going to be able to sell this to school districts. And that can't be the direction. Well, that's not the direction we're choosing. Let's put it that way. I'm glad you're not either.
I love that about PixiePal, Cough Drop. There's a few of them that just really have good heart.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just to mention the school district piece, I mean, this is an affordable tool, but schools still need affordable tools too. Don't forget about your ESSER funds Don't forget about your ESSER funds. Sorry. So the alarm
You're fired.
Don't forget about your ESSER funds from school districts. It'd be a great use of ESSER funds with PixiePal. We have a lot of information on ESSER funds on the LessonPix website, but there's a lot of money out there, and this is definitely something where you could justify from the curricular standpoint, from the AT standpoint, all of that.
Yep, I agree, and it's. If you just go to LessonPix and search ESSER, and you'll find all about it. It's actually on the front page, I believe. There's a link there now.
There is.
Yep, it is.
So, Chris, that's a response to the COVID. You may not know that in Australia, but it's a response to the COVID pandemic. They've got money for trying to recover from it.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, all right, I think we're good. We got we did get some questions. We got some comments. Folks are happy. Juanita asks, how do we contact you? I did say on here that you can learn more at PixiePal.com, but I assume that there's a contact form or a contact us there. Brandi is everywhere anyways on social media, so you can just reach out to her directly. And if anybody has trouble, you can always go to support@lessonpix.com and we will redirect to you, as always. So I think this is a good time to call it. We went way over what we were supposed to do. We've got people who love us, and thank you for making it affordable. And we also thank you. I think it's a great idea. Is there anything else, guys, before we go, or are we good?
No, I just want to thank you so much for the opportunity to share what we're doing, and look so excited about ATIA. And I've never met Brandi before. I've only ever met her virtually, so it's going to be an exciting time to meet some different people. I'm
glad you're able to make it here. I thought Australia was more locked down, and I'm glad you can get out. It's wonderful. Yeah, we can get back in.
I've got I'm probably not going to be able to get back in, but it's going to take me about. I'm leaving after I get off this call. I'm leaving. It's going to take me about 7 days to get there. So,
wow.
I'm joking.
Wow. Well, you're welcome to come over. We'll get you on the boat. So
well, that's how I'm getting there. That's how I'm getting there. I'm swimming to New Zealand and then going from New Zealand to Hawaii and then.
Okay. Wow. All right.
And this will be your first time in the States, right, Chris?
First time I've ever been to the United States. That's right.
Well,
But
That's what I
luckily,
do.
if he's got his PixiePal with him while he's swimming, it'll be just fine. So,
Exactly. If I have to communicate with any white points, I'll be able to.
all right, we are officially off the rails. All right, everybody, thank you for joining us, and I appreciate your time. Those of you who joined us on Facebook or YouTube, I hope you got something out of this, and share it with your friends. We'll do this again. We have some folks, some friends of Beth are going to join us, correct?
yeah, so hopefully Lauren Sheehan and Ashley Laracy from outside of Chicago, a speech pathologist and special educator. We're going to set up time with them after ATIA for them to talk to us about all the awesome stuff that they are doing with primarily secondary age students.
Excellent. All right, guys, have a great night, and for everybody out there, good luck, have fun, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah, bye.